Look at us.
Look at us. We're just a couple of rural gals trying to create community and entertain. I'm Courtney.
And I'm Annaliese, and we're Egg's most okayest farm girls. Grab a drink. We're here to help. Hi, Courtney.
Hey, girl.
We back.
What's up?
We back again. I heard a little ice over there. You drinking anything special? Is it your happy juice?
It's my happy juice. What are you drinking?
I just got a little Crystal Light pink lemonade.
Oh, delightful.
Refreshing. Today, we thought we would talk farming.
Yes, we've gotten a lot of requests from our followers to just talk farming. Both of our operations.
You have longhorns. I have dairy cattle. So we're just going to discuss things from our perspectives, answer some questions, talk about misconceptions, and have a little fun. Everybody's going to just be smarter. You're going to leave knowing so much about longhorns and dairy cattle that you're not going to know what to do with yourself.
Yeah.
I'll tell you guys a little bit about dairy farming. So I grew up on my family's 1,500 cow dairy farm, but today I farm with my husband and his parents where we milk 600 Holsteins. And Courtney, are you familiar with all the breeds of dairy cattle?
No.
Do you know?
Are you going to tell me about it?
Well, for those of you that don't know, Holsteins are the ones with the black and white spots, and they're actually the ones that are highest in milk production. So the ladies, they can really crank it out compared to other breeds. And then there's like brown Swiss, Jerseys, Ayrshires. Oh my God, I'm going to forget one. And then everyone listening is going to be like, you son of a bitch. Why did you forget this breed? But like brown Swiss and Jerseys, I think they have like a higher fat protein content in their milk. So they all have like just very unique things that they're good for. And people in the dairy industry go hard for their breed. Okay. We're Team Holstein. We go hard for those girls. And I've got friends who think otherwise. But yeah, we have Holsteins. We milk about 600 3 times a day in a 8 parallel parlor, which means we can milk 16 cows at one time. There's a misconception, or, people just love to say that cows are hooked up to milking machines 24/7, and that could not be any further from the truth. It actually only takes 5 minutes to milk a cow.
And they want to be milked.
Exactly.
They come in there usually by themselves, don't they?
They do. They are, for one, they're creatures of habit. If you want to piss off a cow, change her routine, right? Like, I'm sure the longhorns are the same. They want to be fed the same thing every day. They want to do the same thing. Yep. Dairy cattle love that. And then, they want to be milked. Like, if you have ever breastfed, if you ever had an engorged boob, you want to get that milk out, okay? So they very much look forward to coming to the milking parlor and having that release. As dairy farmers, it is like our number one goal to make sure they are comfortable. And so we want the milking parlor to be quiet and clean and a very calm experience so that they do want to keep coming in there. Happy cows make milk. There is nothing more truer than that statement.
Yes. Did you know that you can milk longhorns? Apparently they're good milkers.
No shit.
I would not. Logistically, it'd be difficult. I mean, if they're super tame, then go for it. But ours are not.
Let's see that rodeo.
I would not want to try. Actually, we had one cow that would probably let me milk her.
Yeah. I wonder if they'd have like high fat, high protein milk, or would it be more watery? I don't know. I'm intrigued now. We need to look into.
Yeah, their beef is really high in protein, so I don't know what the difference of their milk would be.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever told you, I'm a 5th generation farmer. And so like another thing that really bothers me about dairy farming that people think is true is that farmers are just trying to make a quick buck. It is so not true. Like, farming for us is more than just a job. It is a lifestyle. I had the opportunity to learn from not only my parents and my grandparents, but my great-grandparents. Like, as farmers, like, we are constantly learning and figuring things out. And so the reason we do things today the way that we do is because of living and learning from past experiences. Farmers are like super smart. We're educated. I have a degree in dairy science. Like, we're constantly learning. There's so many people in the egg world and the dairy world that are like focused on animal health and cow comfort and making sure that these animals, while they are here and with us, live the best lives.
Yeah, I hate that misconception that we just want to make a quick buck, because it couldn't be any less true.
Mm-hmm. You guys with the longhorns, like, does that misconception that, you just want to make a quick buck, like we're just throwing antibiotics and feed or whatever at them and trying to sell them, like, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
That really irritates me because most farmers and ranchers, we don't do this for the money because there isn't money. Like, we do this because we love animals. If you go on Instagram and social media and follow a bunch of farms, like, it shows clearly, like, we're in it for the welfare of our animals.
100%. Yeah, we love animals. We love being outside. We love this lifestyle. Like, that's why we do it.
Right.
I was talking a little bit more about, you know, how important cow comfort is, especially for dairy cattle. Like, if anyone here, again, I hate keep relating things back to humans because humans and cattle are very different. Like, if you breastfed, you knew how important it was to prioritize sleep and nutrition and water, and because then you could make more milk for your baby. The same is true of cattle. And that's why we work with nutritionists and make sure they have the best feed. We make sure they have a comfortable, calm place to lay down, access to water. Like, it's just crazy how much we do to make sure they have the best of the best. Like, I remember in college, we studied stall size to make sure these cows, and it's varies on each farm because cattle breeds come in different sizes, like how you choose to breed that specific breed, like whether you want a big animal, a small animal, like it's going to be different on every farm. But yeah, stall size to make sure they have enough room to get up and down. We study how they get up and down because we want them to live long, healthy lives. So it's just all these small things that go into the farm.
Our lives basically revolve around our cows. So have you invested in those brush scratching posts and stuff for your cows?
Yes, we have some. They're from DeLaval. DeLaval, if you want to sponsor this podcast or any future podcast, let us know. But we have DeLaval rotating brushes. So when the cow walks up to it, it starts rotating and it gets that itch they just can't get themselves. But the funny thing about these brushes is really, and DeLaval might argue this, but they say, you will get an increase in milk yields because it, helps. But really, it's a big investment for not a lot of kickback. But we want our cows to be comfortable again,
Right. That's what it comes down to. We have those too. Actually get them from old street sweepers. We repurpose them.
Oh, yeah.
And put them on posts and stuff. It's not needed, but we do it anyways because we want our cattle to be comfortable.
Right. Every cow on our farm also has a collar. And within that collar is a pedometer, and it tracks her activity and then relays that information to our computer. So we can get a graph for each cow on our farm, all 600 of them. And you can see when she has high activity or low activity. And high activity means she might be in heat, eligible to be bred. Low activity signals to us that she might be sick, might have a sore foot, something's going on. Go look at this cow, which is so, so helpful when, I keep saying 600 cows and it seems like a lot. There are dairy farms way, way bigger than ours. We are pretty small on the spectrum. So technology these days plays such a huge role on farms. And I think people have a tough time accepting that. When it comes to their food, they want everything to be produced like it was back when great grandma did it, But their iPhones, their doctors, they want all the highest technology for that. But God forbid you use technology or new information to raise
this industry.
Yeah.
Right.
Wild.
No, those are so cool. We just watch our cattle closely because they're they're right next to our house. So we can watch them for breeding cycles. But those collars, man, I'm jealous. They're really cool.
Yeah.
But they're a huge investment. So
yeah.
You call them what?
Cow Fitbits.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Love it.
Yes, we have that. I'm trying to think of what other, maybe you ask me questions because that's the other part that I'm always so surprised when I get different messages on Instagram and people ask me, it seems like a common question to me, right? I'm so ingrained in the dairy world that it seems so basic and that everybody should know this, but that everybody probably doesn't know this. So it's just easy for me to forget. We have a milk tester who comes to visit about once a month. She will take a sample of milk from each cow, and then we can get kind of a report card back. So we're able to know how much milk that cow is producing per day, the fat content, the bacteria count in that milk, protein content. It signals to us if the bacteria count is high, okay, we probably need to do a better job of cleaning and sanitizing our facilities. But if it's, good, then obviously we're doing a good job. There's so many pieces of information we can get to just keep being better and doing better by these animals.
Yeah. I'm always shocked that people still think we're like injecting our animals with hormones and God, what's the other one that we use all the
Antibiotics.
time? Antibiotics. It's like there are
Mm,
withdrawal times. There's situations where it's appropriate to give antibiotics, to save a life.
mhm.
But yeah, we're not willy-nilly shooting them up with all kinds of stuff.
I mean, antibiotics are expensive. Not only is, shooting them up willy-nilly not appropriate or effective or safe, but it also costs us a shit ton of money.
Right.
Shit ain't cheap,
Right.
And that is true of like one thing that really just cheeses me off is people buying organic milk because they think that's antibiotic free and that conventional milk isn't. When
Right.
all milk is antibiotic free, all meat is antibiotic free. Like you mentioned before, we have to follow withdrawal periods.
Yes. There are rules and regulations.
Yes, there are rules of
Like,
items. The meat and milk, it gets checked so many times before it ever enters the food supply. And if it does test positive for antibiotics, they can track it back to where it came from. And then that farmer gets penalized significantly. Like you could be put out of business. So antibiotics is something every farmer takes super duper seriously. I just wish I could shout that from the rooftops. I just want everyone to know.
yes. I hear this a lot too, is that Texas Longhorns are no good for beef.
Mm.
Like, they're no good to eat. And I'm just like shocked every time. I'm like, okay, who told you that? Who decided that? Like, have you ever tried it for yourself? Yes, like not a whole lot of farms have Longhorn beef, but that's not because it doesn't taste good. That's because there's a lot of logistics involved with having an operation where your cows have long ass horns and you need special equipment and different types of head gates and chutes and stuff like that. It's not because they don't taste good. It's actually the best ground beef I've ever had. It's so good. And then also, obviously, the cuts are delicious too. A lot of people assume like it's not going to be tender, it's not going to taste good. They want that marbled steak, but our steaks are damn good.
Yeah.
I grew up with Black Angus beef, eating that, and so did Aaron, and we just prefer Longhorn.
Huh. I don't think I've ever had Longhorn. You're going to have to hook a girl up. Let me do a little taste test.
Oh, yeah.
A little taste test.
For sure. We'll do some steaks.
Love it.
Let's see, what else is there? Oh, that Longhorns have to be in like a warm climate. That's also false.
Yeah.
Like,
I was going to say, we were just recording with somebody else, and she thought you were from Texas because of your Longhorns, which I thought was funny.
Yeah. Everyone always assumes I'm from Texas, which is funny because I have the most Midwestern accent. I wish I had a cute Southern accent. Love that. I should just pretend. Longhorns are like any other mammal. They grow a winter coat. So, I mean, you wouldn't want to buy a Longhorn from Texas in the dead of winter and just plop them out there in negative 20-degree weather. But if they have a chance to get acclimated, then they do just fine. You just need a wind break.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. So is that what you guys did? Like got them in the spring into the summer and they just acclimated?
I mean, we buy cattle from all over the place, not just Texas. So, but yeah, we do keep that in mind. Definitely. If it is the dead of winter and we're at a sale, I mean, usually the sales are in the summer anyways. But if we happen to come across one in the winter, we wouldn't buy them from a southern place. That animal obviously wouldn't do very well.
Yeah. I'm assuming all cattle of all breeds have the same temperature, which is 101.2 is their average temperature. And it's why like dairy cattle actually thrive in cooler temperatures. Like the most perfect day for a dairy cow is cloudy, 50 degrees, breezy. They are lazy bitches that don't want to get hot. They don't want to be sweaty. They just want to be cool, relax. Something else I get a little worked up about is because, on our farm, our cows don't have a lot of access to pasture. It's just is what it is for us based upon our facility, the land base we have. But that doesn't mean like our animals aren't happy, aren't cared for. They have a comfortable place to lay down. They have feed, they have water. And honestly, at the end of the day, that is all a cow wants. I remember growing up, we had all our heifers out on pasture, and it was a hot summer day, and we opened up the pasture for them to go out. And what do you think them broads did? You think they went running out there? They were like, hell no, I'm going to sit
Not
underneath
a
this
chance.
sand bedding that's nice and cool. People get all worked up about animals not being on grass 24/7, and it's like, look, they're all right, okay?
Yeah. As long as they've got enough space and they've got feed, that's all
Mhm.
I care about.
I guess something else we could get into is farm size, because I hear this a lot. Again, like I mentioned, people think 600 is a lot of cows, and honestly, there are dairy farms with thousands and thousands of cows, and you'll hear that, oh, big farms are bad, they're factory farms, and it's like that could not be any further from the truth. Farm size does not dictate whether a farm is good or bad. It is the people. There are farmers with 100 cows who are shitty people and don't take care of them properly, and vice versa.
Right.
Like, it has nothing to do with that. If you really want to get into the nitty gritty, I would almost argue that like larger farms have it tougher because they're under more of the spotlight, right? Like, they have more government regulations, they have more people checking in on them. And if they're not doing things properly, they're going to get it, you know?
Right. Size doesn't matter in this instance.
Who's going to make the
Wink, wink. Sorry.
not
I'm 12
sorry?
years old.
Oh, I don't know. What else, do you want to talk about with Longhorns, or what other things cheese you off that you hear about
Um,
the egg industry or Longhorns?
well, specifically in the Longhorn industry, I see this kind of often of like new breeders that tend to think that like horn is everything. Like they're just after the longest horns. And there are other things that are way more important, like production. Are they good moms? Do they have good feet? Like you're looking
Mhm.
at the total package, or that's what you should be looking at, not just horn.
Yeah.
What's their disposition like? Do they breed back right away? Like the list goes on, like conformation, everything, how they're put together, what their udder is like. These are all things that are important. It's not just about chasing after giant horns.
Yeah. I would say the same is true of the dairy industry. Like, people think, oh, you just want the cow that makes the most milk. And it's like, no, we want all those other qualities too, because at the end of the day, we want an animal that is going to live a long, healthy life, So
Right.
strong feet, legs, longevity, being good mother, like all these things, absolutely, is
Mm-hmm.
what we look for. Tom's the second generation, I'm the fifth generation, and we just truly love it and do it because it brings us joy, and we are passionate about doing things properly to take care of these animals, but also because we want this farm to be around for years to come. Like, I want to see my kids and my grandkids all be a part of this farm.
Yeah,
And
it's our legacy. It's important to us
exactly.
all. Mm-hmm.
I know. I just wish more people could see that, or could meet a farmer. I think people's views on food would be totally different if they could meet a farmer. There's just the
Mm-hmm.
media and labels. We could get into that. Labels drive me nuts because they are so misleading, and people don't realize it's just marketing. It's just
Right.
marketing. It doesn't make one product worse.
Or less nutritious.
Right. So I always use
Right.
this example. Our milk actually goes to Kemp's, and Kemp's is going to cost more because it has the Kemp's label on it. And then I think it might also say like hormone free, or I don't know what else it says on it. But then you can also, right next to it is the generic Festival Foods or label-less milk that's significantly cheaper. But guys, it is the exact same milk. They just put a different label on it. Even though our milk goes to Kemp's, I still just buy the cheaper gallon because I know that milk is milk.
Right. I always get the great value, the cheaper milk. Like it doesn't matter.
I know a lot of people don't realize, like, certain brands own various brands. So like milk can go into a milk plant and it can go into bottled for several different brands, and they just slap a different label on it, but it's the same milk.
Same milk, same exact thing.
The grocery store feels like the wild, wild west most days.
Yeah, we are getting better, I feel like. So that new law was passed, right? That if it says made in the USA, the beef was processed, raised, packaged in the US now, correct?
Yes.
Well, it hasn't gone into effect yet, I don't think.
Okay. I remember
Um,
hearing this.
So I feel like we are heading in the right direction. We still have a long ways to go, though, because I mean, they don't have to label it at all, but at least us as consumers can choose now.
Right.
For people who didn't know, it could say product of the USA on any beef as long as it was processed in the US, right? So it could have been
Yes.
raised and finished elsewhere or finished here and then packaged, but yeah, you get the gist.
Which is super, again, a misleading label, and it sounds like they're in the right direction with it, but yeah, like, if you wanna think about from a sustainability standpoint, what the carbon footprint is on that steak, if it's coming from Brazil, that's frustrating, so yeah, you want those labels if you're made in the USA, like, did it actually come from the USA, all parts of it? That's a big thing.
Right. I don't know if I already explained this in other episodes, but Aaron and I, so Aaron's a 5th generation farmer. I'm a 1st generation. We sell beef direct to consumer. We've got probably over 50 head of Longhorns. We also sell breeding stock. So we do registered Texas Longhorns. You don't have to register do you register your dairy cows? Or is it not really a thing?
No, it is, and lots of dairy farmers do still register their cattle. We used to be bigger into show cattle, and so then, like, registration becomes a little more important, but now that we've kind of moved away from showing cattle and we just are into producing quality milk, we don't register anymore because it's kind of a lot of paperwork.
Right, yes, and it does cost I mean, it's not a whole lot of money, but it's just extra money. If you don't need to do it, then you don't have to worry about it.
Right. But for what you guys do, like, it seems you need it.
We love to show our animals, and we also like to sell breeding stock at Longhorn sales. So you need to have your animal registered for that to happen. So it's not necessary if you just want to have Longhorns on your ranch as a tax write-off or because you think they're pretty lawn ornaments. You can certainly do that. You don't need to get into registered cattle if you don't want to.
Getting back to the farm life a little bit, why don't we just do a little Q&A with each other? What is your favorite job on the farm?
I don't know about job, but I love calving season is my favorite time. And I guess I'll say my favorite job is actually getting to work the cattle with Aaron because you get to be hands-on right up close to these majestic beasts. What is your favorite part?
They really are majestic beasts.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I would say my favorite job on the farm, probably feeding calves. And it's funny, I usually like, I love when I get to do chores by myself and not have the kids with me and just like vibe out and listen to music. And it's like my time to meditate. But I also really enjoy when the kids help me too. It's just fun to watch them figure things out and help and learn and grow and take pride in taking care of something. But yeah, feeding calves is kind of my jam. What's your least favorite job on the farm?
Gosh, I don't know if I have one. Oh, actually, yeah, I do. Cleaning the chicken coop. That's nasty.
Chickens be nasty.
Their poop is the grossest poops of all the poops.
I would agree. I don't even have chickens, and I can agree.
Yeah.
This isn't my least favorite job now, but when I was a kid growing up on my home farm, do you know what cattle guards are? We have like, in the freestall barn, there's pens of cows. Back in the day, there was the little red barn up on the hill with 2 cows, 2 pigs, 2 chickens, 2 goats. And now farmers have, really specialized in what they do. And we just have dairy cattle and we house them in what we call a freestall barn, which is basically a big barn with a few different pens. And then in each pen, there's a stall for every cow to lay down. And then they have access to feed and water and they are free to move about. And then when we take them from their pen to the milking parlor, they kind of have to go down these lanes. And some farms have gates. That's what we have at the farm I'm at now. But growing up, we didn't have gates. We had cattle guards. And so it's like a big hole and then there's pipes over them. Because cows they have depth perception problems, they don't want to cross over things. Yeah. So the feed truck could get through and the cattle could go the other direction and they wouldn't run out of the barn. That's what these cattle guards were for. But feed would get spilled down there. You'd get water down there. In the summertime, it gets hot, it gets juicy. Maggot like to
Juicy.
nest down there.
Ugh.
And young Annaliese, when she'd get in trouble for going out drinking and be hungover the next day, you know what her dad made her do?
Clean out the
Put on those
maggots, Annalise.
put on those knee-high boots and shovel out the cattle guards, and it was just
Oh,
the
God.
worst.
I know the feeling. My chicken feeder outside at one point, it was all covered, so I thought it would be okay. The rain got in there, and the smell alone, besides the maggots that were crawling in and out of it, like cleaning that whole feeder out, just, it was bad. Can't even describe the smell, but I think you know.
Yeah, maggots are the worst. Like, maggots are just so gross. I
Mm-hmm.
can't. Oh,
Ugh.
this leads me to another question. What is the most disgusting thing you've ever witnessed on the farm? Like, Courtney, have you ever had a cow with an abscess and then sliced it open?
No. Have
Like
you?
some Dr.
What's the
Pimple
smell
Popper
like?
shit?
Does it smell awful?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we've had some cattle get some abscesses. You can usually tell if it's ready if it's like soft, and then we'll just slice it open a little bit to drain it. It is so gross, and I make Tom do it. I won't do it, but I love to watch it. Like if he slices one without letting me watch, I get so mad. I don't know why. Is that weird?
Nope. That's why there's the show, Dr. Pimple Popper. Like, it's like a car accident. You can't look away, you know? Actually, I take that
Sure.
back. So, we did have a cow with an abscess, but it was in her hoof. Like, it was pretty small. So, I didn't get to really see all that fluid drain out.
So
Disappointed.
satisfying. We once had a cow give birth to basically a fuzzball. Like, obviously something happened. Like, it didn't fully form. It just, a little fuzzball came out. So I take this back. A full-born calf was born, and then with it came a fuzzball, so it must have been a twin that never, like, developed, and I was like, this is weird as shit.
Yeah.
We've
Oh,
also
yeah.
had calves born with, I can't remember the term, it's like waterhead maybe, but basically they're born with a bunch of fluid in their brain, so they look like little aliens. It's just they've
Oh.
got this huge head. It's
I've never heard
goofy.
of that.
No, and they usually don't live. They die pretty much as soon as they're born. But
Yeah.
you see some weird stuff, fireman.
Yeah. So I incubated like 16 eggs one time a couple years ago. And the ones that don't hatch, I feel like, well, at least me, like I had to open them and see like what was inside. Is that weird? But I
No,
had to
you gotta
know.
see. Yes.
So that was pretty gross. Like when you incubate eggs at that high temperature and humidity and then open them, they're real stinky. And some of them had like half developed like chicks.
Yeah.
So that's pretty gross.
That is gross.
I just thought of something. A few of my chickens have had just gnarly, gross illnesses that have come up throughout the years. Like one of my chickens, like I don't know what happened, but I think she was sick from something else, but then like her worm load. So a lot of chickens have parasites, but like because she was, immunocompromised, like sick from something else, like she had no immune system, and so the parasites kind of like took over. That was disgusting because there was just piles of worms coming out of her, and I just had to like euthanize her. Like I like obviously tried treating her for them, but like it was too late. Like it was nasty.
New fear unlocked. That's how
so
I
many
died.
Worms. Do you remember that show called The Monsters Inside You or something like that?
Yes, that is terrifying. Oh,
yeah, parasites. That's the grossest thing on the farm by far for me.
Oh, what do you and Aaron fight about the most at the farm?
I mean, probably like any other couple, like working cattle.
Oh yeah, it brings out the worst in everyone.
Yeah, I mean, and it's obviously always me that accidentally lets one of the cows out that's not supposed to be out, and he doesn't take that very nicely.
Tom and I, before we had kids, we actually sorted cattle together really well. But once I had kids and then I was at home more versus on the farm more, we just weren't working together as much. And so now when we do it, which is only about once a week, I feel like we get a little more irritated with each other because he's just like he gets so aggressive, like with his sorting and like jumpy and like spidey, like, and I'm like, just calm down, put your arm out, act like a gate. You know, like you can easily just guide them to where they need to go. Stop trying so hard. Less is more.
Yes. Aaron, I feel, is the same kind of like aggressive energy sometimes when he gets like worked up. So, and I'm like the opposite. And it seems like you are the opposite also, where we're
Yes,
just like, it's going to be okay. This is not
right?
the end of the world.
I would much rather like move slower and calmer, and maybe it takes a little bit longer. Maybe the animals don't move as quickly as we wanted to, but it's more enjoyable and we're less covered in shit because of it. Like, why do we got to get
Right.
everyone fired up and then shit just starts going everywhere? Like,
Exactly. Their goal is efficiency. Our goal is just like, get it done. If it takes a little bit longer, oh well, you know.
what's the rush?
Yeah,
Enjoy
we
the
got all
ride.
day.
Well, I feel like we're both pretty lucky. Like I know I grew up on the farm and you've been farming for quite a while, but I know we have some listeners who are new to the farm world and someone actually emailed us in and asked like, I've learned a lot from you guys, but how do I continue to learn more? Where do you find out about like farming stuff? And I guess my advice would be local farm bureau. Just about every state has a farm bureau. You can go to their website. They have really great resources. Here in Wisconsin, we have UW Extension. I'm trying to think of what else. Like different universities will offer classes, courses that any age range can take. And then also just following people on social media. If you're following the right people, you can really learn a lot or at least make connections. If you're wanting to like find more farmers in your neck of the woods, I think you can use certain hashtags, hashtag Nebraska or farm hers in Nebraska or whatever it is. Find your people and
The most useful resource I've found for the Longhorn industry is a couple groups on Facebook. One is called Longhorn Friends, and the other one is like Friends of Longhorn Cattle or something similar. That group is full of like tens of thousands of Longhorn breeders, old timers, like first generation, just like a whole melting pot of knowledge.
The dairy industry also has, I think there's Dairy Girl Network, there's Dairy Moms, there's so many different Facebook groups you can join to connect with people. And they also host events or, daytime like outings, stuff like that.
Right. Anytime you have a question, you just post it in the group and you get hundreds of answers. So it's great. Like we relied on that pretty heavily starting out.
Yeah. Is there Longhorn magazines out there? Because in the dairy world, we have like Hordes Dairymen, Progressive Dairymen. I mean, there's just so many magazines, like Google search farm magazines, and there's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, we have a few. I've never actually read them, but but we do have some.
He's got all his Progressive Dairymen's by the shed bathroom. That's where they stay.
Of course he does. That's great. You got to have reading material. So another resource that's kind of new to specifically Longhorn industry is Johnny and Missy Hicks. They are breeders. They've been in the game for a long time. They know their shit. They developed a new breeder packet that's available online. So I will, and it's like everything you would ever need to know, like just starting out. So it's super helpful. I'll link it in the show notes for everybody. And it's free.
For free. We love it. For free, for free. All right. Well, anything else you want to add to this farming conversation?
I think we covered it all. Do you have anything to add?
I don't think so. I feel like I could talk about the dairy world forever. So if anybody wants to learn more about dairy farming or where their dairy products come from, don't hesitate to DM your girl because I'm happy to share.
Yeah. And we love talking Longhorns, so just never be afraid to send either of us a message.
All right, Courtney. Well, you have a day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Guys, thanks for hanging out with us today.
If you had as much fun as we did, would you do us a favor and share this episode with a friend?
Speaking of friends, can we all be friends over on the Instagram? You can find me at @ModFarmChick.
And me at Mrs. Green Pastures Cattle.
See you next week, guys.